We are local. We are your local experts in senior housing. We have taken the time to personally set foot in just about every licensed senior community in Northeast Florida. And not just, be there, but also pay attention to, is the same staff there, or are they having turnover? Are the residents smiling? Are they happy? Are they interacting with the staff? And what is the culture? What is the personality? There's a lot of intangibles that we pick up on and remember when it's time to match a client with the right community. The intangibles are as important as the tangibles. And I think that sets us apart in that intimate personal knowledge of the communities in Northeast Florida.
Greetings and welcome to another edition of Caring About Seniors. I am your host, Adrienne Houghton. Now, each week, as you know, I sit down with Oasis Senior Advisors Jacksonville and we discuss all aspects of senior living. Today, I am joined by Alba Gocius from Oasis and Dave Roberts from Beach House Assisted Living, and he's the Sales and Marketing Director, so hopefully he's going to tell us all about the wonderful Beach House. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Adrienne. How are you today?
I'm very well. Welcome, Al. Good to see you again.
Thank you.
So it's a difficult situation going into assisted living. Mm-hmm. When is the right time to talk about it?
Well, what I'll tell you is what I tell people is there's a proactive approach and a reactive approach. We always like the proactive approach, mom starting to slow down. It's time to kind of make a decision versus the reactive approach. Mom had a stroke. Now she's in a nursing home getting rehab and it's time to look. Okay. So, that's generally the right time is looking at the proactive approach.
And it's like, well, is it when they're a set age? Is it when you start noticing things around the house? I mean, proactive, that's great. But, I'm almost 68 years old and I don't want to even think about assisted living, but maybe this is the time I should be.
Well, a lot of times we see it when an individual has been married, recently lost their spouse or a loved one, and now they're getting to the point to where they want, they're realizing it's hard to cook for one. The house is a lot more to care for. It makes it tough on that angle. Well, then the kids start to realize that too. Mom's losing weight. She's not eating as well. Starting to notice mom's forgetting some things. That's when that we get the phone call most of the time.
Yeah. And Al, I mean, you've been dealing with Dave for a while now.
Right.
You have the same situation. It's much easier to deal with proactively than it is reactively, although you do have those situations.
Mm-hmm. And we're really coming up on a wonderful barometer this weekend, and that's Easter weekend, where families get together. We get to see mom and dad, see how they're doing, and really everybody's all together. It's a good time for a family huddle and really decide what's the next step. And I ask and I beg and I plead, follow up with mom and dad the week after Easter, because they're on their best behavior and they're trying so hard to please everybody. They're not showing you their real selves. And if you give them some food in their refrigerator and it's still sitting in that refrigerator a week later when you see them, that's a recipe for some real problems with foodborne infections.
Yes, of course.
One thing we see a lot of is, when they're on the phone with their daughter that may live in Boston, they say, hey, honey, I'm doing great, because they don't want their daughter to really know what's going on. And when the daughter comes in town for Easter, she sees that there's more cat food than there is food for her mother to consume. And that's when we get the phone call, or Al gets the phone call.
Yeah. Golly. Now, I hear there's a big demand for memory care. And you also, not only is it assisted living, but you have memory care facility. Tell me about that.
So memory care, from what people say and what a lot of people think, is just because my dad has Alzheimer's or dementia, he needs a memory care setting. Well, that's not always the case at the beginning stages. You know, they can live in an assisted living setting and be monitored. But in the memory care setting, once they get to those more moderate to advanced stages, that's where you want them to be, because there's a lot more hands-on care. It's a smaller setting because there's a lot of changes that occur in the brain that we don't understand as they start to get dementia and Alzheimer's. For instance, the word bathroom or restroom goes out the window. They don't know what that means. But if you put a picture of a toilet on a door, they'll know that that's the right place. A lot of memory care and Alzheimer's residents will not walk into a door that's shut because they're scared what's on the other side. Back in the 80s and 70s, or 80s and early 90s, they did a lot of construction in hospitals and removed those old tile floors that were white and black checkerboard. Because what they realized was Alzheimer's patients would only walk on the white tiles because they thought the black tiles were holes.
Oh, my goodness.
So these are things that we learn in the business, and through all the study and research and constant training that Al goes through, I go through, and most of us in the healthcare industry go through to learn this stuff, because you'd never think about that.
And there's a number of different strains of memory loss, isn't there? It's not just Alzheimer's, although everyone always says Alzheimer's because it's the most frequently said, I think. But there's Lewy body, and there's so many more, and they all have different aspects, don't they?
They do, but ultimately none of it is actually determined. You know, Alzheimer's cannot officially be diagnosed until post-mortem. The reason being, doctors make a diagnosis of it, but it's under suspicion. They technically don't know until they look at the brain post-mortem and see the decay and the plaques and all that stuff.
Right.
But they can set it as senile dementia, or, you know, this. We think this is all. I mean, there's signs and symptoms, but you technically really don't know until post-mortem.
Right. So, first of all, tell us, where is Beach House? I mean, it should be on the beach. I mean, that's, you know.
So we're at 1315 2nd Avenue North, located in Jack's Beach.
Right.
One thing that's a little different with us is we're a hidden gem. We're located in a neighborhood. So if you know where Penman Road is, you have Penman Park right next to the Coast Guard station. We're tucked right next door. So when we walk out our front door and we look, we see the neighbor cutting their grass or washing their car. We don't see, you know, just droves of traffic going down a main intersection or a main road.
How nice, how nice. So what services do you offer? What are all of the services that you offer?
So we mainly offer assisted living and memory care. And with those, you know, there's things that we provide. Some of the things that we provide are activities of daily living, which is bathing, dressing, toileting, grooming, those type of things, assistance with medications, okay? Those are all on the care side. But some of the base services that are included at Beach House is all your utilities. So the only utility you have to worry about is your phone. Some people like a cell phone, some people like a landline. Dealing with this generation, you know, most of them like a landline still. So, you know, we have to deal with that. But Wi-Fi is included, cable. Our cable is closed circuit, and it was actually picked by our residents. So we have channels that me, being a 45-year-old man, that I may not particularly like, but my 84-year-old residents love it. Yeah. So we've got 2 Western channels for them and all kinds of fun stuff.
So what's actually included in the basic rent?
So the basic rent includes 3 meals a day in a restaurant-style dining room where you order from a menu. You have weekly housekeeping, They'll come in and clean your room for you. Laundry services. They'll do 2 loads of linens a week for you. They'll fold it, put it back away for you, so that makes it nice. As well as electricity, water, sewer, trash, cable, and Wi-Fi.
Oh my goodness. Now you've got different levels of care that you offer to people. Would you like to explain a little bit about
So
that?
our levels of care are determined by a nursing assessment. Our nurses go out and meet with the potential resident, but ultimately we have to follow what's called an 1823 form. We are governed by the state of Florida, and that is a form that's filled out by their physician. And it's a history and physical. So it tells us head to toe what's going on with you. And then we determine our care based on that. But we do have 4 levels of care. So some with just a very minimal amount of care. And then we have more people that need a lot higher acuity.
Right.
Yeah.
And Al, I mean, you obviously have people that need to be housed. And when you take them along there, do you like suggest that they sort of spend a day there and see how they like it? Or how does it work?
The way that I like to do it most is schedule a lunch for the tour. So they come in, they can talk to the other residents, talk to the staff, and frankly, a senior will move in or move out depending on how good the food is. So
Are you serious?
Serious.
As simple as that?
Yep. I just wrote a blog, and you know I do a lot of blogs for seniors here. I wrote a blog on ice cream today and all of the brain benefits of eating ice cream. So you'll see all the senior communities, they'll have ice cream socials and things of that sort. That is a wonder drug for breaking the isolation, breaking the ice, and making the seniors feel good.
Yeah, so it's all about that. Dave, what do you want people to know about Beach House that makes it stand out from other places?
One of the biggest things that we offer, Jacksonville is such a military community. There's a benefit that folks get from the VA, and it's called the aid and attendance benefit, but that's not what I'm talking about. We at Beach House, we give a 10% discount to our veterans and their spouses. So if they show us a DD 214 of a husband that passed away, we'll give you 10% off your monthly rent, and that's off your base rent. So that's something that I can tell you. I've been in this business for 24 years, and out of all the different communities I've never worked at, I've never seen anybody offer that. And with having as many naval bases as we have, and military veterans in the area, it's a good service.
Yeah. And what would you say, Al, is the sort of final words for people out there who are considering, oh, that sounds like it might be the right place for me? I mean, there's a lot of things to be taken into consideration, but
it is, and the fact that a little bit of history, the Beach House used to be a women's center many years ago, so it's really people-centered, and the many times that I have been there, all the staff is engaged with their residents, and that's really a big plus.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for coming in. I
Absolutely.
really appreciate it. And good luck with the future, because now we're coming out of the pandemic. Hopefully everyone's able to connect once more and to tour and to feel a lot more comfortable. And
Absolutely.
I'm sure you've noticed the change.
We have been very busy with folks. Absolutely.
Fantastic. Thanks, Dave. Thanks,
Thank
Al.
you.
And don't forget, if you'd like to know any more information about Beach House Assisted Living and Memory Care, you can also find it on iwannabuzz.com. Look forward to seeing you again on Caring About Seniors.
We are local. We are your local experts in senior housing. We have taken the time to personally set foot in just about every licensed senior community in Northeast Florida. I think that sets us apart in that intimate personal knowledge of the communities in Northeast Florida.
Greetings and welcome to the latest edition of Caring About Seniors. I am your host, Adrienne Houghton. Each week, I sit down with Oasis Senior Advisors Jacksonville and we discuss all aspects of senior living. Today, I'm joined by the president of Oasis Senior Advisors Jacksonville, Mr. David Stieglitz. And our guest today is Mr. Bill Green from the Green Insurance Agency. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
How are you?
Well, thank you.
It's been a year since you've been in.
It has.
And a lot of things have changed, but tell us a little bit about how long you've been in the industry and what brought you into the industry.
Okay. About a month shy of 8 years, and a good friend of mine showed me how we can help people with it. Kind of made sense to me because both my parents went Medicare many years ago. My mom about 9. No one really sat down and explained this is what it is how it works. About a year in, she was diagnosed with breast cancer, so right when I started in the industry. She caught it really early though, so she's fine. But no one explained all of her options to her to give her a cheap cancer plan to go with it or a little more coverage. So she had some pretty hefty out-of-pocket bills that no one really explained well to her how to cover those. And I want to be able to help people understand what's available, what's out there, and protect themselves from that kind of stuff.
So what are your primary lines of insurance?
Well, I primarily focus on Medicare as well as health insurance. Then there's lots of things that go with that. So there are accident plans, hospital plans, dental, disability. We also write life insurance. It's not something we're actively looking for, but it's something that's needed as part of the plan.
Long-term care.
Definitely long-term care. People usually don't want to talk about long-term care. It is absolutely needed though. The old traditional long-term care insurance policies are kind of going away. There's some really good older ones and some that weren't designed that well. They're really moving more towards either an asset-based long-term care, or kind of the new one is actually a function of life insurance, where either your family's going to get some money when you pass, or you're going to get all the long-term care benefit. So it's something that's fairly new, and it's no longer of, hey, I paid all this money, I didn't use my long-term care. It's, I'm either going to get the care I need, or my family's going to have a legacy when I pass.
So is this like life insurance with a rider for long-term care?
Exactly.
Ah, so if you don't go into long-term care, then you've got this nice life insurance policy.
They're not small policies. We don't have to do them that way.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Exactly. Now you're here to discuss a book that you wrote.
Yes.
Would you like to tell us about it then?
Absolutely. A colleague of mine and we worked on the book together, and I get asked the same questions over and over when it comes to Medicare. So we thought, you know what, let's put some pen to paper and get those questions down on paper so I can give it to someone before I meet with them. They can request it either through a website, or I've got a text in number that they can get a copy of the book before we even meet, so they'll be more educated and know what questions they need to ask.
I mean, Medicare is incredibly complicated. So how long is this book? Is it sort of, it looks thin and small, but in fact...
It's fairly thin. It's 74 pages.
Okay.
Large print though, so easy to read.
Well, that's one thing, isn't it? Because obviously people getting older are the ones that are going to need this, and they want to be able to read it.
So with Medicare changing so much each year, are you going to have to update it every year, or
Not
have you
really.
kind of got the core of it that it's pretty stable?
This is the core. It's got, the first half of the book is Medicare and its parts, which are not going to change a whole lot year for year. Be little things like your dollar amounts for hospital stay, your deductible and whatnot, those will change. And then the second half are how to avoid 7 costly mistakes when it comes to Medicare. And those are things that those aren't going to change either. It's about penalties and not enrolling at the right time or enrolling in the wrong plans and what can happen.
I mean, we're talking about Medicare, but are there any other topics in there?
Yes. So no matter what plan you pick with Medicare, there's going to be some level of hole to it, whether it's some higher copays, more exposure for cancer, whatnot, or if you pick a more all-inclusive plan, Medicare unfortunately doesn't care about your eyes, your ears, your teeth. They'll cover you if it's a medical thing, like if you have glaucoma or cataracts, they'll take care of that. If you have an infection in your mouth or you need reconstructive surgery after an accident or something, they'll take care of that. And ears, if you have an imbalance, because that's where your balance is, if you're falling because of that, they'll help you. But they're not going to give you glasses. They won't help with crowns, fillings, dentures, and they won't give you hearing aids. So that is something that is not part of Medicare, but there's ways we can cover those either as part of an all-inclusive plan or on top of.
I mean, it's pretty mean, really, isn't it? Because you do need to see, you do need to hear.
Absolutely, it doesn't make sense.
You need your teeth. I mean,
You do. So, I mean, Medicare's idea is they'll take care of your health and your body so you can stay alive. But you're right. If you can't see where you're going, you're likely to get hurt. If you can't eat, you'll become malnourished. So they should cover it at some level. There are talks of making it happen. But if that happens or how it happens is yet to be seen.
golly gee. I mean, and half of that is really preventative too.
Oh, it is.
So I mean, it would be better if they said, you know, let's try and prevent it, so that when we actually get to the end result, there's less people that we're having to pay out for. Doesn't that make sense?
It's a government program, Adrian. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
So it really
Well, there you go.
it does make sense. They should do it at some level because mouth disease is actually linked to many of the diseases that happen in the body.
Yes.
Right. So who is this book actually designed for then? Is it designed for people who are younger so that they know what's going to be happening in the future, or?
It's designed for a few different people. One are those who are just going on Medicare for the first time, who need help figuring out how Medicare works and what it's going to cover. For people who have been on for a while and need to understand just how it works. Maybe they didn't get the best explanation when they started. They either signed up online or somebody came in and 5 or 10 minutes later they had a plan and that was it. And then also I'm having more and more people come in with their adult children to help them understand what's going on and help them make the right decision going forward.
So actually, the adult children are the ones that are really going to benefit from this, not only for their parents, but also for themselves for the future. Just getting a little taste of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've learned so much from Dave and from Al over the last year about what happens when you get older and what you need to be doing. And I don't know that we can say enough about it. We've got to really keep drumming it home. Yes. Start early. Start looking at these things in your 50s. Don't leave it to the last minute. Would you say that is the same about insurance?
Definitely. So we don't just do Medicare, and we do regular health insurance as well. So if someone is currently uninsured and can't see a doctor and they have something going on, depending on the situation, we may be able to help them enroll throughout the year, or we just have them ready to go for open enrollment at the end of the year so that they can have those things looked at and not just put them off until Medicare.
And you'll help them with that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So if somebody's looking at this and they say, oh, actually that book sounds like it might be very useful, how do they find the book?
They can go to MedicareAlphabetSoup.com. Just nice and easy.
Yeah.
They can request either a physical book or a digital copy there.
And is it expensive?
No cost.
Oh, you see? A free book. How often do you get that? I mean, Medicare doesn't give you everything, but Bill is providing people who want all this information for free. That is wonderful.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you would like to tell the people out there about what's been happening or changes in insurances recently?
Yes. So more on the regular health insurance side of things, the marketplace. That has reopened for anyone who qualifies with 150% or less of the federal poverty limit. For a family of 4, that can be $50,000, $60,000. They can enroll year-round in health insurance. If someone is, whether they're under 65 or over 65 on Medicare, and they need to enroll after losing group coverage, it's something you have a very small time window to do to be able to get it without any health questions.
Wow.
So insurance is all about timing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And does everyone know this?
Not at all. I get the same questions over and over again. That's why we wrote this book about Medicare. And then the health insurance, it's one I plan to work on as well, because I actually get more calls about regular health insurance because, well, there's more people who need it.
Mm. You call it alphabet soup. Mm-hmm. I mean, because it's covering I guess a lot of information. What do you think is the most valuable piece of information in that book that people will take away?
Well, first, before that, the alphabet soup. The reason it's the alphabet soup in Medicare is because when it comes to Medicare, you have your initial A and B, and you have to decide whether you want to use an A, B, C, D, F, G, or N with it, plus a D, or you can do Part C. So it is really just a bunch of letters. You have to pick the ones that are right for you. Yeah.
Hence the alphabet
Hence the
soup.
alphabet.
Exactly.
Okay.
So there's no one just golden nugget in there. This is the basics. It'll save you hours of trying to read the Medicare New Book. That when I'm ready for a nap, that's what I read because it's that interesting, even for me. So it'll save you hours of trying to read that book, of watching YouTube videos. This is just the nuts and bolts. It's maybe an hour read max.
What are the most common mistakes people make as they're approaching 65 or turning 65 regarding Medicare?
I talk to a lot of people who get fed up with all the phone calls and mail, people knocking on their doors, Facebook ads, and they, one, will either just go and pick something themselves, or they do nothing. The do nothing folks are a lot of times people who are healthy, and the problem with doing nothing is you will end up with lifetime penalties. If you don't enroll when you're first eligible, Part B, you'll have a 10% penalty on your prescription side of things. You can have a 12% per year penalty for every year you went without having a plan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And so that's how it goes.
Definitely at 65, you've got to do something.
Yeah.
Yes, and then there's a whole other crowd of folks who are on Medicare that aren't really marketed to, so they don't have all the same information that's just being thrown at them. And those are people who are on Social Security disability. So if the Social Security Administration says you're disabled, you can no longer work, you can't work in your profession or something similar, and you're put on Social Security disability, 24 months from your start date, you're automatically enrolled in Medicare. And it's something that, again, they're not getting bombarded with all this stuff to pick from. They have to go out and do their own research.
Right. And that's where you come in.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Bill. It's been an
Absolutely.
absolute pleasure to find
you.
out more. And thank you for doing this. I know it's helping a lot of people. It's good to see you again, Dave.
Good to see you.
Now, I'm going to read this because I don't want to get it wrong. So if you want a copy of the book, you can get it from medicarealphabetsoup.com or text the word book to 904-747-6711. This has been Caring About Seniors. I'm your host, Adrienne Houghton. Thank you for watching.
We are local. We are your local experts in senior housing. We have taken the time to personally set foot in just about every licensed senior community in Northeast Florida. And not just, be there, but also pay attention to, is the same staff there or are they having turnover? Are the residents smiling? Are they happy? Are they interacting with the staff? And what is the culture? What is the personality? There's a lot of intangibles that we pick up on and remember when it's time to match a client with the right community. The intangibles are as important as the tangibles. And I think that sets us apart in that intimate personal knowledge of the communities in Northeast Florida.